Okay, so in this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to create a very simple application from scratch. No wizard or anything like that. Well, maybe a wizard. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a database tool. This one I'm going to use PHPMyAdmin, and I'm going to create a new database. So, new database name, I'm just going to call it names. Something very simple. Create. Okay, so where is our names database? Refresh. There it is. I'm going to create a table called people, and it's just going to have 2 columns. It's going to be very rudimentary. Okay, so the first one is just going to be an ID, and the next one is going to be, I don't know, full name. So it's going to be a varchar. We're going to give up to 50 characters, and this one is going to be the primary index, and it's going to auto increment. Save. So now I have a very crude table. So let's go to that table. So let's start from table. Nothing in here, so we could just insert a couple just to get the ball rolling. So first one, Fred Logs and John Smith. Go. Okay, so now if I browse the database, we've got 2 records in there and auto created IDs. Now let's turn this into a web application itself. So let's log into Summit. I'm going to create a new application from scratch. Names, add. Okay, so here's our names at the bottom of the list. Click on it. It's automatically created as a login page. If I go into the login page, there's no logic in the page. If I go into the login form, all it does is when I post this page back, I'll submit this page, it's going to go to page 20 automatically. Okay, so back to the page. Well, we don't have a page 20, we've only got page 10 at the moment. Back to the application. I'm going to create a new page. Sorry, that was a region just then. Page 10, we need a page 20. So I'm just going to add a new one, people page. So new page, add. Okay, so let's go in there. And we have a new page, no logic in it, no regions. If I run the page, nothing. Let's edit the page. Okay, so I want to add a new region called people. Add. Here's our form. Click on the form, that region form. We're going to change it to a report. And I'm going to say select star from, I can't remember the name of the table now. People. From people. Submit. Let's run the page. Done. Okay. Wow. Very easy. Okay, so let's go one more step now and add a form where we can actually update this information and add new information. So, edit the page. I'm going to add a person form. Add. It's going to have on it a hidden ID field. Well, let's add the name first. Let's do full name. Full name. So I'm in the region. I'm going to add an element to that. This checkbox here says that anything, when I add something, it's going to automatically add a label for it. So when I press add with this checkbox done, it adds 2 things. It adds a label and it adds the field itself as a text box. Always does a text box by default, which is actually what we want. So let's go and look at that text box. Let's make the width, I don't know, 40 and maximum number of characters 50 to match what we did on the field itself. Okay, so we don't need to do anything else there. Submit and run the page. Boom. So full name and a box. Actually, I prefer person to be above people, so let's edit the page. Here's our regions. Region 10, region 20. Well, let's just go into people and make that region sequenced as 30. So now it comes after the other one. Okay, so we've got the form and the thing. Now when I type in a name, I want to be able to submit it and add it into our thing. So in our form, I'm going to need a button. I'm just going to say OK, it's going to be called. I'm going to uncheck this one because I don't need a label for it, it's just going to be a button itself. So if I add, and I said whenever you add something, it adds as a text box. So we need to change this from a text box to a submit button. And the label of the button is going to say, I called it OK there, but I'm going to change that. I'm going to call it submit here, just to mix it up so you see there's a difference. So let's run the page. Okay, full name, text box, and submit. Well, actually I want the submit button over here next to the field. So let's debug. Do it this way and edit this field. I don't want it to put a new line after this field. No new line. It should be in its own little cell, as things are done table wise. But so there we go. All right, pretty. So when I press submit, boom. So now you can see in the URL it changed up here. I'm not sure if you spotted that. Whenever I press submit, it submits the page and it puts up into a special part of the URL here what I pressed. I pressed the page 20's OK button. That's the name of the control. I could have multiple controls with the same name. Whichever one I press will go in with that name. But the label for it says submit. Alright, so let's edit the page and edit the form. Let's do some post-processing on the form. Okay, so click in there and it makes the pre-processing much larger and the post-processing larger. So now I have a full PHP editor now. So everything is maintained in an array called session. So let's try something that's actually going to error the system, but let's do echo session page 20 full name. Okay, so what that's going to do is it's going to tell me what the value of the full name field on the screen is. So here's our full name value. Whatever I type in there is held in the session under that name. So this is actually going to break the system at the moment when I do this. You shouldn't be echoing out at this point, but if I run the screen, type in some gobbledygook, hello world, and submit. Once the page submits, it's going to echo out. There you go. So it kind of broke it. It just spat it out immediately before it spat the page out. Right, what we want to do is actually take that value though and insert it into the table. Okay, so now that we've got our report and our form, I want to be able to type stuff in here and submit it. Well, it doesn't actually do anything. We want to insert it into that table. So what we're going to do is edit the page, go into the region, and do some post-processing on the region so that when we hit the OK button, it will submit the data to the database. So we have pre-processing and post-processing. Well, we want to do it on post-processing. So if I click on it, it expands out the box so we can type stuff in, and I have a snippet of code here. What I have is the session is where all the values from that are currently in your session are stored, and each value has a key value, key pair name, and the key to the field that we are using to store the name on the screen is there. So that's going to take that value that we type in the screen and stick in a little variable called nm for name. I then create a SQL statement that's going to insert that value into the full name field of our people table. And I also then execute the query. By calling this query command, we also do some SQL injection prevention in here to stop you typing in extra commands on the screen to corrupt your system with. But that cleans everything up. Okay, so let's run that now. Well, let's save that and run the page now. And not like Gookie. Let's do hello world. There we go. Test. Okay, so working system. I hope you enjoyed that quick demo, and come back and see some more.